Hello, everyone. This is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full time. I've been doing this with my fiance Aneta for a couple years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So I'm going to go into what we were shipping out today on the weekend. So it's Monday. So this is like the end of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're pretty short on time, so I'm just going to have to blitz through it. So the first thing, and I forgot where I put it right here, is going to be these Dwarves miniatures with axes. This was kind of incomplete. This had 36 of 48. Really cool. The Caesar miniatures, we've gotten them before. They have a bunch of different little miniature lines for like fantasy and wargaming. This sold for $23.99 plus shipping. Everything's going to be plus shipping, so I'll save us the time right now. All right, next up is going to be this Edward Roth right here, Kenner Rat Slicks, like sheriff toy. I think this is like an older, let's see what year this is from, 1990. So I think you get these little figures that go on top. I sold one, some like weird, it was like sloppy sheriff or something like that. I'm probably saying the name wrong. They're like rad rods or something like that. Got a bunch of these with all the die-cast cars, the police cars and stuff I got. So this one's like a sheriff one. This is just the base. This sold for $10. It doesn't have the figure that goes on top. All right, moving along, we have some cards right here. Cass Kasperi portrait of a prince playing cards right there. These were used, but still in pretty good condition. I like to get all the unique, like different playing card decks. This one looked cool enough for me to pick up. This ended up selling for $12.15. I noticed what box I listed in. That was kind of from a bit ago. All right, next up is I've been going through a bunch of my CDs. This is Very Pet Shop Boys. It has this kind of like Lego embossed, like a rigid, you can feel the bumps on there on top. This ended up selling for $8.99. I don't know anything about music, but we did get a bunch of CDs a long time ago, one time or a couple times, but it was like the whole car for $75. All right, next up is going to be a lots of 5 of these Racing Champions police cars. So I made a bunch of these lots with these Racing Champions cars right here. There's 2 blue ones, like a red, and then there's like 2 black ones right there. I like to make my lots like aesthetic looking. They've been doing pretty well. These end up selling for $17.54. They're a lot of fun to list. I got them from someone that flips storage units, and they don't care about the smaller stuff. All right, next up is something that I like a lot. This right here is a PC game. I haven't played this one, Armored Fist 2. I just like that this is still sealed. It looks super cool sealed. I miss like the big box PC games. I don't like games being digital. I like that having the actual box and stuff. So still sealed. This sold for $15.49. So someone's going to appreciate that. They'll probably just open it up and play it. But I think it's a cool like bookshelf piece. All right, next up is going to be a Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami playing card deck right here. Sorry, not a deck. This is like a deck box. It's going to have a little insert in there so you can divide your like side deck from your main deck. It has Dark Magician and the Dark Magician Girl here. Super popular like characters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! World. I played when I was a teenager for a couple years for Yu-Gi-Oh! This ended up selling for $13.50. So like cool deck boxes have different like rarities and stuff like that where you can some of them are more expensive, some of them are less expensive, and it depends on like the characters and what year it was from, and that was in good condition. All right, next up we have, what is this one? Suzuki GSX Police die-cast car right here. So it's like white and black. We got a bunch of these little motorcycles. These ones are, I think they look pretty cool. These remind me of like tech decks back in the day. This is obviously not a tech deck. Those are like sports little skateboard finger toys. This sold for $16.49. And then later on, you'll see I sold another one of those motorcycles. All right, next up is going to be a dead card game, X-Files. People love the X-Files. This is 113 just like cards, so like a big lot of them. I don't know if any of the individuals have any like particular value, but this one I just sold as a lot for $20. I do find this at like a medium rate, the X-Files stuff. There's probably a good amount of them because people do like X-Files. So they might be playing the game for cheap because like you get a bunch of cards for cheap, or they like looking at all the different characters like Mulder and stuff like that. All right, next up is going to be some Warhammer 40K bits and pieces. This is a lot of 50 plus of them, Astartes figures. I looked today and we have 2 more left from a huge bin. I listed everything. These were like astronomically insane for us. This sold for $16.87. So yeah, they were pretty easy to list too. I think it took me like 2 days. So it was like 16 hours, maybe less. Yeah, those took less. I just had to clean up like hairs and stuff as I was dumping them out, which is a little gross when you go through stuff like that. But that's just what you have to do when you go through like big lots. All right, next up is going to be a Dare car here by Matchbox Collectibles. Like I said, I got a bunch of these die-cast cars from someone that doesn't care about it. Dare is drug abuse resistance education. I know they had it in Illinois. I don't know if other states like had this. I remember it was pretty cool because they would come into schools like when I was in elementary school, and they would just like give you pamphlets and give you information, give you stickers, promos, t-shirts. Really, I was awesome. I think it was a really cool program. This particular is like a Dare car, so they have like a little set. This one is, which type of car is this? I wrote it down. This is, no, I didn't write it down. All right, this sold for $8.35. I'm sorry, I just really don't know anything about cars, music, but all the nerdy stuff I know a little bit about. All right, moving along, we have our first Stardock miniature that sold. I have to see where I put it. Yeah, right here. So this is a little spaceship. It has like its wings, it's a metal miniature, and then it has like a little turret or like a laser gun or something on top. So I got a huge bin of these. Like, so I'm still going through them, listing them. At one point, I had a couple hundred listed. I was like, I need to move on to something else. This ended up selling for $32, which is really good. So I think Stardock was either a shop that doesn't exist anymore, or they must have been like a distributor, because the miniatures inside were like miniatures from like different categories and stuff like that. So there was like fantasy ones, wargaming ones, the sci-fi ones, and then some of them had like actual maker's marks, like the brand on the bottom. Some of them were like Reaper. I can't remember the other brands off the top of my head right now. But yeah, this little figure sold for $32. So yeah, I think, like I said, it's either a shop that doesn't exist anymore, or they were kind of like a distributor that would like package these miniatures and sell them to shops to sell to other people. So like business to business. All right, moving along, we have a combo order. These are 2 lots of 6mm. One of these is like Soviet AT machine. So they were like Soviet figures. And I can't remember what the other one is. They paid at 2 different times. So I have to scroll real quick to find them. No, these are both like ones. Yeah, they're both Soviet infantry. These are super tiny. I can't even explain like how tiny these little infantry and little AT machines are. I think they end up selling for like about 42 plus shipping. All right, moving along, we have a D&D map right here. This is 1983 Gamma World double-sided map right here. So area, this one says area map of Allegheny. All right, let me try to pull this. Which one? All right. Oh, okay, I thought you said something. I'm going to try to pull this out carefully, because they kind of go in. I don't want to like ruin the edges and stuff. So I showed a bunch of these when we sourced them. I listed all of them. It's all done. I definitely, like I said the first time in the first video, I've definitely got messages of people telling me the stuff is like worthless and not worth like listing. People get really weird about like bits, pieces, and parts, especially for like vintage stuff. And then I keep selling them. So like, yeah, it's I just ignore those people. This particular map sold for $30, so it is double-sided. And then we have this one here. It might not be D&D. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It's by TSR. Sorry, it's upside down. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, this one ended up selling for $30. These are really cool, like vintage things. People do like to complete their box sets. Just because it's not complete doesn't make it worthless, even though I get the messages all the time for that. I already know it's coming. I've listed stuff like this before, and almost all of it always sells at some point. I'm not salty. All right, next up we have this little expansion for a board game. These are going to, it doesn't have like the box. This is Endeavor, Age of Sail, Charter Companies. And there's also like extra tokens, bits and pieces. I had no idea what this board game was. I had to look it up when I got all the bits and pieces. I think it even says like Charter COS right here. So I just like typed it in and eventually found like the images. I looked up like all the components in the list. This is complete with some extra stuff. This sold for $18.74. It looks like a pretty interesting game. There's like bricks, cannons, some little iconography tokens, which show like, oh, you can trade in these resources for this. So it looks like more like a worker placement board game. All right, next up, we have a dead card game, little miniature, rule book, not miniature like the miniatures, but Warlord Saga of the Storm Campaign Edition. So I didn't know anything about this game, but then I had a buddy of mine who I source from once in a while. I think he kickstarted Warlord's new edition stuff, and I think the old stuff works with the new stuff. I don't know if it's like been shipped now, so people are looking at Warlord Saga of the Storm. I've sold this stuff before I knew more about it. He said it was kind of like the combat is Dungeons and Dragons oriented. I think he said like monsters and stuff will have like an armor class, and then I think you roll a d20 for like the combat. So it's supposed to be super quick and cool. Like he actually described it pretty well. Like I thought it sounded fun. I just don't have time for like a collectible card game. This little rule book sold for $6.99. I usually get like those little rule books, and I always list them because like very few people list them. They think they're junk. These usually come in starter decks, so there are a lot of them out there, but it's like from the 90s, so who knows how many are left. All right, so next up is something that I know nothing about, but we got this from the person that flips the storage units, diecast cars. We basically bought like a pallet of stuff, so we didn't even get to look through all of it. It was just like a bunch of boxes. other than like we looked at the cars and stuff, like the main draw for us going there to pick up the stuff. This is going to be non-embedding bore cleaning compound. I think this is for cleaning guns, the inside of the barrel or like the outside of it. Know nothing about that, but this is still looks sealed. Everything looks good. Sold for $10.50. I hope that still works. I don't want to have to deal with like a return or anything. All right, next up we have 3 little fantasy Lego like vintage door hinges. So yeah, you probably can't really see it on the screen right now, but they're, if you know what they are, you probably can picture them. They're little doors that you like put on the little clips over the arches. The fantasy stuff, all the old Lego stuff, if you know what it is, you can get good money for like the little bits and pieces. I saw these. They were in the box that someone was going to throw away, and I gave them like $10 or something for the box. I can't remember how much, but they were going to throw it away. This sold for $13.49. I like came in last second, right time, right place, and I was like, "Oh, I'll buy that stuff." It was just like a box of cool vintage Legos. All right, next up is F-16 Fighting Falcon in Action. This like trade paperback little booklet here has a lot of like images and information about this particular airplane. It says it's by Squadron Signal Publications. This one ended up selling for $11.25. Not too many books today. I think that was almost the only one. So sometimes we'll sell a bunch and sometimes like a little bit. All right, next up is going to be some HeroClix maps. This one is Poison Ivy's Greenhouse Indoor. Someone like folded these in a weird way. Normally these like fold more, but I just kept them how the original owner had them folded. So normally, yeah, like I said, they will go fold in one more time. These are the maps where you play the actual, what did you say? Oh, okay. She's just talking to the kitties. All right. Yeah, these have like squares and starting areas, and then there's different colors that denote like different terrains, like less movement, more movement, special effects. This is a really cool miniature game by WizKids. This is a map. Generally speaking, like maps are kind of cheapish. Like I sold these two for $17.98, and I think that's pretty good. I list them like whenever I get them. But yeah, this one right here is Haha Hacindia Indoor. I don't know if I said that one right. These are both DC ones. Pretty cool combo order. So someone probably just likes these particular maps. Maybe they have a strategy for them. It's a really cool tactics game. You're basically playing on those maps, like not instead of like it's kind of like a bigger chessboard. All right, next up is going to be some more metal miniatures. These are both by Target Games, which was on their little base. They're from like the 1998. This one's a really cool like wizard, warlock, shaman with like a staff, and it has like a lot of intricacies on it. Looks like a little sun, and he has like a skull in his left hand, a lot of robes. And this one just looks like a little beefy barbarian, like old school. He has like the longer hair, like Hercules style, and then he has 2 broadswords, and he has his beefy pecs and stuff like that. Yeah. These end up selling for $25 for these cool little miniatures. They're probably using them for like an RPG game, or they just like to paint them. So yeah, I think they looked pretty cool. So when I picked them up, I was like, oh, these will sell. All right, next up is going to be an Atari joystick keychain for Centipede and Yars' Revenge. I played a bunch of Centipede, not on an Atari, but I forgot whatever system, Super Nintendo or Nintendo, whatever one they had it. They also have a lot of these like plug-and-play things that I've played. This particular little set sold for $19. I have another one with 2 different games. I can't remember which games, but yeah, that's the first one of the 2 that sold. I only got 2. All right. Next up is going to be this Caveman little Fisher-Price toy. It looks like pretty good quality. It's very clean. We get a bunch of like little toys and stuff, and sometimes I lot them up. Sometimes I'm just like, I'll put them individually. This guy sold for $4.99. Not like a crazy sale, but pretty cool for something that's just like in a box of other stuff. All right, moving along, we have these little companies, KPT. I think these are like really detailed metal tanks. These ones look super cool when I like had them and I was listing them. So I made a little lot of 4. These went to a repeat buyer. These sold for $13.19. They're not Micro Machine, maybe. I'm not sure what KT stands for, but it was like on the bottom of it. But yeah, they have like these little turrets, and they feel like they're good quality. Have a lot of different like paint jobs on them too. All right, next up is going to be some Chip Theory games. 2 packs of 23 right here. These are health counters for Chip Theory games board games. That's why they have Chip Theory in their name, because most of their games use either chips or dice. And these are health that you put underneath the characters, and the monsters show how much health they have. Apparently, they have different like additions. I mean, they've been a company that's been around for a while. So they have different additions and types of logos on the health chip. So this particular person liked this particular crown one. It's kind of like a crown. I think it's supposed to be the CTG, Chip Theory Games, kind of like the CT and G together to make some kind of crown. So yeah, they were really particular about that symbol. They asked if I had more. I have different health tokens by Chip Theory Games, but not with the right symbol. So I originally sent them my links. I'm like, oh, I have some more. And they're like, no, that's not the one I want. So these sold for $20.98. They probably just want extra health for like health chips for their game, or maybe some of theirs got lost or destroyed. They just want to complete it, or they like them for whatever they're using them for. All right. Next up is going to be like a little cutesy game. This is Punch Bug right here. It folds out. It has like cards and a rules set. I always get these like fun family games. I've sold like big combo orders of this stuff before we've recorded on YouTube before, so I know to pick them up. Very easy for me to list as long as they're in good condition or complete. This sold for $15. Especially like the unique card games, board games. People do like to collect all sorts of stuff. It doesn't always have to be like the main well-known winners for board games that people are into. I have a bunch of different like random ones here, and there's some like hipster ones also on my shelf behind me and in the other room there, if too many to showcase on the shelf. All right, next up we have an incomplete but super cool thing. This is a Polish board game. It's talking about mushrooms right here. So the mushroom pieces are really cute. There was a couple missing. A lot of people in like Poland and Europe do like different board games. I love to get the foreign board games, incomplete or not. This was definitely going to be something that was going to sell. People love mushrooms. This sold for $20. There were so many offers we got in that, and they were too low. And then finally someone agreed to give us the 20. I think I had it listed at like 30. All right. Last up for the day, we have this Maisto Boston Police little die-cast motorcycle, just like this one right here. This ended up selling for $13. So yeah, those were pretty cool when I listed them. All right, so that's everything for today. So we're low on time, and then I just want to talk about real quick about a couple of things we did over the weekend. So I did do some sourcing. We have to make time to do the videos for that to show the stuff we got. So I'm excited about that. There's just a lot going on. And then also Aneta was playing a bunch of Kingdom Come Deliverance. She finished part 1 on the Xbox One, and then she just started part 2, so she's been pretty obsessed with that. I was playing some like a little bit of Gloomhaven on the Switch.
It's not Xbox One.
Oh, Xbox Series X. Xbox Series X. I'm stupid. Her Xbox Series X. All right. I've been playing a little bit of Switch Gloomhaven. I was playing a little bit of Diablo 2 Resurrected on the Switch, not on PC. And then we also we went and celebrated for her dad's birthday. So we got a bunch of good food. We have some leftovers. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I hope everyone had a good weekend.